luck to you. Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. I'm Mike Amos speaking to you from Troy Cable Studios on South Brundage Street in Troy, Alabama. Sitting to my far left, ladies and gentlemen, is a very good friend of mine. And of course, Forrest Lee has joined us this morning. And it's a Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday.
Mother's Day
Weekend. And hey, men, like old Coach Bryant said one day, he was doing a commercial for I want to say it was a Bell telephone back then commercial, and he was sitting back and he said, they were doing the commercial, and he said, "I wish I could talk to my mama," and somebody caught it, and hey, that "I wish I could talk to my mama" went across the nation, across the world for years. Bear Bryant would say on a telephone commercial, "I wish I could talk to my mama."
Let me tell you one sweet story about my mother. She would always get her hair done in Luverne, usually on a Saturday.
Yeah.
We always then would go to the cloth shop, my Aunt Ed Root's cloth shop in Luverne. And if you've ever been in a cloth shop back then, the dye of the fabric would just burn your eyes. Well, later on that afternoon, Mother was ahead of me. I was in the middle, and Kenny was behind me. And there's the house. We were out there, pulling weeds out of the garden. And it came a rain, and she said, "Let's go to the house, boys." And she turned and was on a full sprint and hurdled the fence between the garden and the house. And my brother and I were just turning around looking. But she didn't want to mess that hair up.
Exactly.
Bonnie Lee.
Let me tell you, my mother, bless her soul, and what a wonderful saint she was. And anybody that knew my mother, Lillian P. Amos, knows that where I'm coming from. She's just a wonderful
What's her
lady.
maiden name, Mike?
Her maiden name was Dubose.
Dubose.
She was from Union Springs, Montgomery,
okay.
Raised in those areas.
Dubose.
But and then of course she cut hair. She always was doing something, but she cut hair, and a lot of regular customers used her for her to cut her hair. Every Saturday morning, for as long as I could think, I woke up with the worst smell in the world. My mother was giving somebody a permanent, hair permanent. Back then they call it a permanent. And you girls out there, how y'all could stand the smell of that permanent? But every Saturday morning, that's when she did a lot of the permanent, especially the women that worked or whatever, And I can just relate a lot of the Miss Powell and Miss Griffin. And I could just go over and over the names of the ladies that were in my house every Saturday morning.
Is your personality more like your mother's or your daddy's?
Probably, I don't know. My daddy was a hard-nosed guy. Even my friends were afraid. Not only was I afraid of him, even my friends were afraid of him.
What did he do for a living?
He, for many years, for over 40 years, he had a contract with the Montgomery Advertiser, this paper right here, for over 40 years.
Right.
Now, let me tell you the story. All right, so this paper goes to press in Montgomery about 8:30 or 9 o'clock, or maybe even around 10 o'clock. It goes to press. Well, after it goes to press, what's got to happen?
They got to be distributed.
They got to be distributed. Well, the city distributed the paper all over Montgomery. Well, my daddy was on contract for 40 years or more with the Montgomery Advertiser to take the Advertiser after it came off the press. He left Troy at 10 o'clock every night to Montgomery, picked the paper up, loaded and going, and then he would go to, and this is something I've never done on TV, he would go to Highland Home, he would go to Luverne, he would go then to what's our
Brantley?
What?
Would he go to Brantley?
We'd go to Brantley and leave a bundle there, and then he'd drop a paper off at the police station. Then he'd move on down the road
Did he go to Brantley or Highland
No,
Home?
no. He's already gone now to
okay.
Highland Home. He's gone to Luverne. He's gone to Brantley, and now he's going to go to
Elba?
No, the home of Malmore.
Dozier,
Alabama. And he left a little bundle in Dozier, and then he went on to Andalusia, or right outside of Andalusia, a little place called Seawright.
Seawright.
He dropped a
Clearwater, Seawright, yeah.
And also where Lake Ghent was, he dropped a little bundle off there. These are for people to put in their racks, or people that actually had a route. You know, they would get the paper and they would go within the community, you know, dishing out the paper. Well, so my daddy continues to go to Andalusia, and when he's in Andalusia, he meets a guy from that goes to Fort Walton and Panama City. Meets the guy there, so he gives him their papers. Then he goes to Op. Then he goes to Sampson and Enterprise and Elba, and between Elba and Troy, he had probably about 50 throwouts. And when I throw out, he's going 50 miles an hour, boom. He's going 50 miles an hour, boom. He very rarely ever missed a driveway. You know, and a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, on the way in from Troy to from Elba to Troy, he had a paper route of his own. You know?
This was 10 o'clock at night?
Well, he left Troy at 10 o'clock at night for over 40 years.
What time will he roll back in home?
It just according to where we want to go fishing or not.
Okay.
No, he would come back in about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. Did you ever ride with him?
Oh, all my life.
Wow.
Let me tell you this, and I'll tell you this.
Is it just you and Joel? I'm sorry.
I'll tell you, just me and Joel and an older brother, Bill, who ran the route for years. I was sort of jealous of Bill because he let Bill run the route by himself for a long time, and of course, you know, like I said, he was on contract for over 40 years, and he had two trucks. One big truck ran on the big difference in the paper. And I'm taking you something. A roll-up paper today would be just practically nothing. In fact, it'd be so light you couldn't even hardly throw it. Well, on Sundays, the paper was big on Sundays because all the ads went out on Sundays and Wednesdays. Well, the big truck ran on Saturday night for the Sunday paper because it was such a big paper. And my daddy was a very slender man, but he could grab those big bundles like that, and regardless of the wire cutting him, they would wrap them with wire, and it was a physical thing. Like on Wednesday, it was a big paper because the ads went out. So when the ads went out, the paper was bigger, so he had to use this big truck on two days a week, and then the smaller trucks on the other days. Most of the time, when he reached Elba, he knew all the folks on the road. He would go over to a little old cafe in front of Dorsey's trailer. A lot of you Elba folks know where I'm talking about. And he and the Honorable Ears Paul would have eggs over light with sausage or bacon.
Ears Paul.
So
what's your daddy's first name?
His name was Revel.
Revel, R-E-V?
R-E-V-I-L-L. And all his folks most of his folks on his mother's side were from Goshen.
What was his mother?
Well, you know, the Rebels, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Gene Starlin was his first cousin. And her name
Laurie Ann Revel was.
Exactly, Gene Starlin.
Right.
Gene Starlin, everybody knew Gene Starlin. Well, she was Gene Revel growing up until
who did she marry.
She married,
is that Buddy's?
No, she married, Vicky's probably, you know Vicky Starlin, downtown at the
Magnus's?
No, this was here. Her name was James Starlin.
Okay.
His name was James Starlin. In fact, he played high school football here in Troy and played at Georgia. A lot of people don't realize that James Starlin played at Georgia. He married a beautiful girl from Goshen named Jean Revel. And Jesse Frank Revel, you ever heard that?
I know Jesse Frank.
That's the family right there.
Well,
so,
his wife was Laurie Ann.
Yeah. So now the rest of the story. My name is Michael Revel Amos. You R-E-V-I-L-L.
So
Michael
you got some
Revel.
Goshen blood in you.
I got Goshen
That's
blood.
why you're so good.
And some Enterprise blood, and some Montgomery blood, and some Union Springs blood. My mother was, and her family.
Your mother was a DeBose.
Yeah, she was a DeBose. but and a lot of those folks up around Pine Level and but mostly around Union Springs and Montgomery. Well, she went to school there at Lanier and.
You got a lot of French in you.
Well, yeah, that's where I probably got my temper. You know, but my daddy had. Like you asked me about my daddy. Well, my daddy was from the old school, but if you stepped out of line, you paid for it.
I might with mother.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You stepped out of line, you paid for it.
Right.
So I didn't step out of line much because when he said when he paid for it, it was rough.
Hey, Mike, with Mother's Day coming up, I want to ask
wear
you
my fanny out.
your favorite thing about Miss Carol. What's your his mother?
Oh man, I can tell you. Well, I've got a story to tell about most everybody. I could probably now tell a story about you. If when I die, a lot of stories are gonna go with me because I don't forget them.
Is it Mother's Day this weekend?
There is. We're talking about my mother, Miss Lillian Pearl Amos, and what a wonderful lady she was. And hey, the best cook in the world. Oh man, you just think you had a cornbread muffin until you tried some of hers. You cut one of hers and put a little butter in it, and it just soaks to the bottom in a hurry.
I tell you what else she could do. She made the best sweet tea ever too.
Oh yeah. Hey, listen, there was always, and let me tell you a little story here. There was always a big gallon jug. You regular folks know what a jug is. A jug of sweet tea, and always lemon. Now, my mother never put tea on the table without lemon. But let me tell you what we used to do. We used to play so hard outside and work it, mow the grass and all that. And she'd come out on the back porch. She said, "Dinner's ready. Not dinner or not
supper."
But she would holler out and she'd say, "Dinner's ready." So we'd go running in there. And the first thing we see that big old glass, it was a big old glass of iced tea, and we would take that glass of iced tea and say, milk, 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 because we're so thirsty. Well, you know what we've done? We have filled our stomachs up with tea before we started eating. That's why, one of the reasons why we didn't gain weight, because we would play so hard, then we'd drink all that liquid, fill our stomachs up, and wouldn't eat as much. Now, I would think, let me tell you this. Have you got any scars on your hands at all? I've got scars on my hand reaching for that last piece of chicken on Sunday. And then I've been stabbed by a fork. I've been stabbed by a fork. Not my daddy. My daddy always got his first and getting stabbed by a fork. Let me tell you what you kids out there don't know, and you kids right here don't know. You don't even know what a back or a neck is.
I do.
Listen, when my mother cut a chicken, hey, she had one little... She called it a hen. She would have a hen on Sunday, but she'd fry it most of the time, or one chicken. And we'd have, we'd have 2 wings, we'd have 2 thighs, we'd have 2 drumsticks, we'd have 2 breasts. Well, then we would have a neck, a gizzard, a liver, and a back.
Wishbone.
Wishbone. My mother cut the wishbone. Oh man, you're right. But hey, I've got scars all over me reaching for that last piece of chicken.
Now, can you cut up a chicken?
No.
I can.
Well,
I can cut the wishbone out. Daddy taught me that.
It would tickle me to know how many women out there, how many mothers out there still cut up their chicken. You can buy chicken a lot cheaper if you cut it up. Have you ever noticed that?
You can. And remember, at one time, the Chicken Shack in Luverne years ago used to have pulley bone.
Exactly.
A couple of nights a week. Sure did.
Well, one of my favorite restaurants, and Mike's eaten up there several times.
They still have pulley bones at Red School, huh?
Yeah, and Martin's restaurant in Montgomery is famous for their pulley bones. They would give you 2 pulley bones on every meal. Have you ever eaten at Martin's?
I have not.
Oh boy, right across from Montgomery Country Club.
You gotta get a Martin. Says
have you? Do you know where he gave us some. We're laid back television at its best, and you folks in California watching. We're Lower Alabama this morning, and we're coming to you, and we say most anything.
You got an aunt watching you from Puget Sound in Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, that's right, but she's probably not up yet.
Mike, when you're talking about the old days when we ate,
yeah,
when it was time to, after we said the prayer, the parents, the grandparents and the parents got their plate first. And so
Yeah.
when it was come time to the chicken,
Yeah.
all that was left was maybe
That
a
breast
back.
was gone, wasn't it? Yeah.
The breast was gone, the pulley bone was gone, there would be a back, a neck, and maybe a drumstick. But they went through the line first.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It's not that way.
Every time I buy chicken down here, I throw the thighs away.
I know. Oh gosh. Hey, some people like the thighs better than anything, but let me tell you what they like. They like it cut with one bone. The thigh with not one bone. You know what I'm talking about? Pick up a thigh and you eat it off one bone. The way if it was right, cut right. They cut the thighs wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to get meat off some thighs the way they cut it. You know what I'm talking
And the
about?
way they cut,
My mother cut a thigh with one bone in it.
and when they cut the pulley bone out, you had less of a breast.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that took a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
didn't
the
know. We didn't know about those big breasts back when I was growing up. You know, excuse my language. We're talking about chicken. But my mother. Let me just say this, and I hope I'm saying some things that you'll enjoy this morning because we're all in this thing together, and we all grew up the same way. And Nick, I know Nick's sitting up there shaving right now, looking at himself shaving, and one of my favorite people on this earth is Nick Severo, my attorney. Well, my other was Alec Jones, and I was with him for a long time yesterday. But Nick and I joke all the time. You know, he was raised up north, and he had spaghetti and spaghetti and meatballs, or just spaghetti and not any meat. You know, up there they eat the spaghetti and the bread. A lot of times they don't even put meat on it. You know, they might have tomato sauce, but you know they were raised with spaghetti and pasta. You know, and fettuccine and whatever. And I said, yeah, and hand me that bottle right there, just 1 second. And there was a big bottle of red wine sitting right there. I guarantee you, on all those tables up north, those Italians up north had to have their red wine.
You know that the green doesn't show on TV.
I know it. It's
don't wear green.
Don't wear green. That's
a
right.
Green sunflower
But
bottle.
some of the things, my mother, first of all, her biscuits she made her biscuits from the ground floor, and they were always delicious. And she baked a lemon cheese cake and a chocolate pie that was about as good as you can find. You know, and on special occasions like Mother's Day, she would, as always, be the last one out of the kitchen to sit down. And a lot of us sorry guys were halfway through our meal before she sat down. Isn't that terrible? We were that poor mannered.
You know, when I cook, I want to be the last one to get my plate.
Yeah.
I'm so. But going to biscuits, you know, my mother died in 1988, so that summer when I'd come home, I spent a lot of time with Granddaddy because he was still living, Lewis McLeod, and his sister from Luverne was coming, Aunt Millie Shirley, and
See, I know the Shirley's well.
Aunt Millie, she had several boys that were firemen.
Shirley Furniture, was any of those were
No, hers were mostly firemen in Dothan and Montgomery, Tallahassee, Wetumpka area.
Yeah.
And then my grandmother's sister, Aunt Dolly Norman from Luverne, were coming to eat butter beans and biscuits.
Was that Jimmy Norman's family?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Right.
But her son was Joe Dan Norman. But anyway, he was going to have biscuits and butter beans for the three of them. I said, Granddaddy, teach me.
You mean that's right? No meat, just biscuits and butter
that
beans?
afternoon.
They probably had some ham hock in there, though, didn't they?
But I said, Granddaddy, show me how to do biscuits. So he let me make biscuits. And
Yeah,
I was
with that
probably
roller,
20.
with the roller.
I was about 30. No, we didn't roll them up.
Oh, okay.
No, you got a jar.
Yeah, okay. What
He got
a
a jar and rolled them out.
Sure,
but he taught me how to do biscuits. So I've kind of. I can do biscuits pretty good now, but I was about 31 years old when I learned to do biscuits.
Let me ask you a personal question. Have you ever taken one of those big old hubcap biscuits and stuck your finger down the middle of it and poured syrup in it?
I have.
You know, don't just be telling me now. All you country folks out there know exactly what it be. You take that hubcap biscuit and you stick a hole in it and then pour the syrup in it.
Or you take butter or honey or butter and syrup and just get a fork and just mash it.
Yeah, you can do that. Sonny Woodruff always tickle me, and I'm going to make some folks laugh because you've done it many times, but he loved breakfast. Sonny was one of my closest friends, and when he growing up, Alma Williford always had a good breakfast, and he would take those. First of all, he'd take those grits, and he'd put them on the plate, and then he'd take those fried eggs. He loved fried eggs. He'd have 2 or 3 fried eggs. Then he'd take the bacon and break it up, and then just start just mixing it all together and mixing. He had eggs over light, and boy, he had a big breakfast. But boy, once he put those eggs, those hot fried eggs on top of those hot grits and that bacon, and then he'd attack that thing, cut it up, and eat it. How many of you folks out there eat breakfast like that?
I don't like my
Cinnamon
bacon.
toast right now is one of the things I enjoy. Cinnamon's good for you too. It's taking that piece of bread and put about 3 of them on a cookie sheet, and then go ahead and put your cinnamon on it all the way around. Then you take I like for it to be sweet, so I take some sweetener and I sprinkle it over it, and of course I've got butter. Put the butter all over the bread, and then I'll stick it in the oven and have toast.
We've done that
cinnamon
before.
toast, which I do even today. It's very easy and it's very good. Especially if you add a little sweetener to that cinnamon.
We'll shake a little
And
sugar.
you stick it on broil, or you can, if you want to wait, you can bake it. But I stick mine on broil and for about 5 minutes, probably, if I can go that long, and then let it sit there a while, and then it's delicious. Cinnamon toast. Easy and economical, and I come from the school of where at one time I enjoyed a mayonnaise sandwich. Let me tell you, there's a mayonnaise out there now that is. You like a good banana sandwich?
Let me write it down. I bet you're gonna say.
All right, yeah, I want you to write it down.
I'm gonna write. I'm gonna guess. I'm guessing.
The best mayonnaise by far is Duke.
All right, now you just told the show that's what he was right. This Duke's mayonnaise, and of course what it's got some olive oil in it.
Okay.
Isn't that right? It's got a little olive oil in it.
Well, you can buy a volleyball.
But it is. But try a banana sandwich with Duke's mayonnaise. Now, all right. Let me ask y'all a personal question. Back when I was growing up, the famous mayonnaise was
Blue Plate.
No, you got it. Blue Plate. Blue Plate. Blue Plate was what we got. We didn't even know what a Hellman's was back then, Mike. That's some of you yuppies. You guys.
My wife likes Hellman's. That's what.
But let me tell you.
I grilled deer sauce the other night, and the guy was like, "Man, why is this mustard so good?" I said, "Because it's Grey Poupon. That's all we have in Grey."
Oh, I love Grey Poupon.
I like that commercial they used to have, Grey Poupon.
Pardon me.
Well, French's. I've always gone with French's, and of course we back when I was growing up, where of course where the Piggly Wiggly is on South 3 Street. That was where the Evelyn Bird's mom and daddy had a beautiful old home, and prior to that, Mr. Augustus Henderson lived there. But across the street was a grocery store called A&P.
Okay.
All right, everybody had an A&P. Now, let me ask this. When you walked into an A&P, what was the first thing you noticed? Y'all know. Ding, ding, ding. This is Jeopardy.
I don't know if
I've
been.
Michael don't remember. But it was the 8 o'clock coffee. And what people did, they would take the beans and put it in the machine and ground the coffee. A&P always smelled like ground coffee. And it was a great smell. And, of course, that's where we bought our groceries. My daddy and mama would, on Saturdays, daddy would go with us and buy groceries at A&P. And it was always fun to go with him because he didn't watch how much something cost like my mama did when it went with her. So I would grab that big container. We always had a huge half-gallon of ice cream. And it was what made the ice cream different then than ever, the way it was distributed? Do you know?
No, I don't.
It came out in a sort of a tub, and it had a window in the top of the tub where you can look and say, well, that's strawberry, that's vanilla, that's chocolate, whatever. And we'd get a tub of ice cream. never did we ever go to the grocery store with my daddy. We did not buy ice cream.
Now, you said your mother made good sweet tea. What
Yeah.
brand did she use? Do you know?
Oh, probably A&P, because we shopped at A&P.
Okay.
Now, then later on, guess who came to town up on the corner up there? And it was just sort of a Ingram's Curb Market came in. Of course, we already had Sheldon Davis's grocery on the corner of Fairview Street.
You're born in 48. When did the Ingrams get there? Around
I was born in 47. I was born in 47. I don't know the exact time, but my favorite grocery store was Davis's Grocery up there on the corner of Fairview Street and Orion Street. I lived on Orion Street. There was two grocery stores, Ivy's grocery store here on the corner and Sheldon Davis's grocery store over here. And I would like to count the memories now. You know, some of you kids out there, you're so spoiled today. But when my mama told me to go get 8 slices of bologna up at Mr. Davis's store, I would run up there. Man, couldn't wait to get there, and I'd watch him shave that bologna or that pimento loaf or liver cheese. My wife loves liver cheese, and I can't stand it.
Sauce.
But now pimento loaf and bologna was pretty good. A bologna sandwich was like getting a hamburger today to a lot of folks.
I have a confession.
Yeah.
Sunny South today, 2 slices of bacon and a bologna sandwich for breakfast.
And a bologna sandwich.
That's what I had. That's what I had yesterday.
Sunny South is the most popular place to eat in Troy right now, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't eaten there, try their pork chop. The pork chop itself would cover the plate.
Yeah.
And those Normans know how to fry those pork chops. We'd love to be laid back.
the big potato logs there.
Yes.
Boy, potato logs.
You get them now. They've got the lunch ready for them workers.
Somebody at one time had real good potato logs, Mike, and I'm trying to think who it was.
The place Banks Byride had.
Yeah, Banks Byride.
Oh, that's a great place.
When we were going to Auburn to a ball game, we'd always get those potato logs at Banks Byride. But now the Normans have wonderful potato logs.
Again, this morning you couldn't get in the store. People were lined up outside the store at their socially
Because there's
distant.
nobody else serving breakfast. Think about it.
Right. I mean, even even in a regular day when the world opens up, Sunny South is wrapped up in the morning because they've got breakfast, they've got lunch, and those workers that come in there, they load up, they have their breakfast taken care of, they get a big old thing of lunch, and they're out the door, gassing
Are
up.
they making people social distance though? Is everybody?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Well, they didn't have marks out there for
I
us.
was at Burge yesterday, but now let me tell you, that's the store starting to open in downtown Troy. So,
I mean, when you go to the grocery store down here, like literally, I mean, there's lines and arrows like pointing down which aisles you can go down. You know, if you're going to go straight down or you're going to go, you know, back down towards the registers. There's 3 or 4 different lines where you have to stand.
Yeah.
well, let me tell you this, and a guy told me, he said, well, when Bird Drugs is open for full business, that means they got their grill open too. Hey, the smell of bacon can be smelled all around the square, and it makes people just go to Bird
Flock.
because that bacon is so good, you know, those hot grits.
Mike, was there another fire in northern Florida yesterday?
Give us a report on that, Mike.
There's one in Milton.
In Milton.
Milton, that's in Pensacola now. That's Pensacola area.
Yeah, the fire, I'll see in pictures, and we had friends that were having to evacuate. I had a friend that had to get his 2 dogs and his girlfriend out last minute, and they got out in time, and he was showing me pictures, and I think like they say now 35 homes have been destroyed.
Oh, man. We talk about big-time homes, too, aren't we?
Well, yeah, you're talking about some of these subdivisions are brand new.
Yeah.
I mean,
Boy, who would ever thought that you'd be at the beach and you'd worry about a fire? I mean, really, think about it.
I mean, you got to see these pictures, though. I mean, like, literally, these huge homes are just ash. I mean, it's just totally just gone.
Oh, man.
That's how hot this fire was. The fire ended up being like 600 acres.
Oh, man. And, you know, we think about those big fires.
These firemen, I imagine a lot of these firemen down here have never experienced anything like that in their lives.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Well, you know, just think those firemen out in California see this all the time, but you just don't see it in Alabama. But you're exactly right, and we're talking about, hey, giant homes just being burned slam up, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're members of Christ the King Episcopal Church, and our preacher has come out and done videos, and you know, we're already, you know, they're trying to do some fundraising for these families, and you know, there's all kinds of, you know, ways to give back right now down here, but it's devastating. I mean, it's just a miracle nobody, you know, got killed. If you see these pictures, I mean, when it jumped 98 and went, you know, towards 30A, I mean, it's just like an inferno. I mean, the whole sky is just covered in fire. It's pretty amazing to see these pictures.
I tell you what, it is sad, and but they've got it all out now. Is that right?
Yeah, as of yesterday, I think it was like 80% out, so I assume it's all out now. I mean, the weather was not too bad yesterday. It wasn't too windy, and I would think it's out now.
Well, of course...
trying to encourage people to not drive down that way.
Yeah. You know, and of course, you mothers out there, I want to finish up with this. You know, I brag about my mother, and I wish I could, like Coach Bryant, I wish I could talk to my mama this morning. Then he reaches up there, and this is where he opened up a thing of potato chips. He'd reach over there like this slow motion, and this is going on the screen, and he'd open up and pour the potato chips out on the platter, and he'd grab that drink of the Coca-Cola, he'd grab it and just turn that thing up like a swing. Only Coach Bryant could eat potato chips like Golden Flake, knowing he probably got stock in both those companies. And, you know, it was amazing, though, how people would remember him opening up those Golden Flake potato chips. And Charlie, what was his name? Charlie, who was running the show, Charlie Thornton, for a long time. And he'd tell Charlie, he said, Charlie, you need to get some more chips up here. Or, you know, Charlie, I saw Bill Rice's folks at the game Saturday. And also Billy Neighbor's kids Saturday at the game. I got over there and spoke to him a minute. And, it was good.
He smoked on that show a lot too, didn't he?
Oh yeah. He smoked on the sidelines. Listen, I've seen him with seen him with a cigarette in his mouth on the sidelines of the game. And of course, you know, when he was leaning up against the pole, he always wanted a Chesterfield, and he took had a bite of Chesterfield. Of course, let me tell you, Mike. Hey, Atlantic Coast.
A Chesterfield wasn't even a filter, was it?
No, it's right. Now, let me tell you this, and I hope you can answer these questions here, because the day of stupidity was when I was growing up, and when my daddy was growing up. Anybody was using tobacco, you know, smoked tobacco. All right, there was a few tobaccos that a lot of them were raised on. My daddy was raised on Camels.
My daddy too.
My daddy could roll his own, and that was Prince Albert. And he rolled his own, and I could see him right now rolling his own. There are a lot of kids roll their own with one of those left-handed cigarettes, what I call them. You know, anybody that sells that paper ought to be put in jail, because that's what most of these kids roll their stuff with, you know.
Well, that's legal in about 10 states now.
I know it, no question about it. But the other, other non-filtered cigarettes, can you name another one?
Lucky Strike.
Lucky Strike was one. Camel.
I have no clue. When did Marlboro come around?
Marlboro never had a
was it, you said Picayune?
Non-filtered. Picayune. You're right. Picayune was another one. It wasn't that many, but before there was filters, see, the non-filters were the big ones. Of course, was Camel and Lucky Strike and Pall Mall. You remember Pall Mall?
Yeah, my mother smoked Viceroy.
I'm ashamed to say that I know the names of all these, but then came Winston, and then came Marlboro, the Marlboro Man. He would come out.
You smoked Vantage, didn't you?
Yeah, like a fool. I smoked Vantage some, and I smoked a little of everything at one time, thinking I was cool. I remember I was visiting with Rusty Gibson the other day at his office in Tuscaloosa, and course, one of my best friends and great athlete and outstanding attorney in Birmingham, in Tuscaloosa. He never touched a cigarette in his life. Oh, we were talking about that. And we used to think he wasn't cool because he didn't smoke cigarettes, because about half of us smoked cigarettes, and hid it from Coach Sadler for all those years. But when he found out, he wore our fanny out. But again, that was one of I look at some people that are smoking cigarettes today, and at one time I smoked a pack of cigarettes a day probably, and probably blew smoke in your face, Mike, by being dumb.
Yeah, there's a great picture of us at an Alabama game at Legion Field, and you're holding me when I'm a little kid. I'm probably about 3 years old, and I look down at your hand, and there's a cigarette in it.
Oh yeah, see, I mean that's stupidity, and a lot of people can be guilty of that. But again, that was the cool thing to do. Follow your leader. Y'all don't even know what a country club was, do you? That was a little half of a can of beer that they used to sell, and what they do, they would sell it because most kids couldn't drink a whole can of beer, so they'd be cool and drink the country club beer.
Well, I mean, what people back then that they were doing like the chewing tobacco and stuff like that.
Yeah, see, that's the bad thing. Now, back when I was coming around, you didn't see chewing tobacco as much, except something I noticed one time as a player. We were playing Enterprise at home one year, and I was one of the captains that went out to the middle of the field, and the Enterprise boys all had chaws big old chaws, had tobacco all over their mouth to play football. And I said, man, I can't believe it. I could understand it maybe playing baseball, chewing tobacco, but not football, because one good lick, you're going to swallow it whole. But
that's the thing, growing up when I was in high school, everybody dipped. So everybody had that can of...
Yeah, and everybody was spitting in a cup and all that. That's the most gross thing in the world.
In their pockets.
Yeah.
I remember, like, going on high school bus trips, and...
Oh, yeah.
And everybody had it. I mean, I never dipped.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Well, and
I tried it once.
Get into that.
I don't believe you ever smoked, did you?
Well, I mean, I might have had a few, in college, but not much.
Well, let me wear you out. Let me wear you out next time I see you for not telling me.
But, I mean, it's one of those things where, the dipping, I never understood that. Yeah, the cups and all that. I mean,
Yeah.
like, literally, coaches all dip there. I mean,
Yeah.
my coaches.
And some of them are paid for it. And we were talking about a coach the other day, and I don't think it. Pat Sullivan.
Well, Pat Sullivan, yeah, that's how he got, mouth cancer.
But we know a lot of coaches that still do it, and the worst thing in the world is we used to make fun of folks that would dip snuff back when I was growing up, and in fact they named Sampson, Alabama, Snuff City. That's why it was nicknamed Snuff City. Well, and they'd take that. And they take that tobacco and they put it between the gums, and they'd have tobacco all over them. That snuff, and they love that snuff. Well, kids now, that's what they do. They put that tobacco between the cheek and the gum or whatever, and they walk around right there. That's why we used to make fun of folks that did that. And now
I had a grandmother
if you don't play baseball, if you play baseball and you either don't dip or what are those seeds that they
sunflower seeds.
Sunflower seeds. I just don't believe I could fall in love with sunflower seeds. But you ought to see them. The good ones, the guys that are real sunflower seeds guys can take that piece of sunflower and distribute it in their mouth and spit that thing out. And you walk in the dugout and there's sunflower seeds everywhere. Well, you never didn't see that when I was growing up. You didn't even see tobacco much when I was growing up. But
I grew up with Big Leagues Chew.
Big league.
now the smoking part of it was bad. I can remember that so well. Being in the pool room, and it'd have so much smoke in the pool room you couldn't even see the other end of it. But we had fun at the pool room growing up. But of course, my mother did not smoke, but my daddy smoked 2 or 3 packs a day, and until he died, but it's a terrible habit, and hopefully folks will Yeah, we've come a long ways, and I don't even want to be around it. I mean, like if you were smoking, I'd say, "Hey, man," or one of the worst things in the world. I used to travel a lot. It was I'd ask for a non-smoking room and not get one. I would not stay in that hotel if if they didn't have non-smoking rooms. You know what I mean?
The only time I'm around smoke now is usually at casinos.
Yeah.
People still smoke in casinos.
And don't get me wrong, back when I was smoking, I would say, "Man, you're not gonna let me smoke in your room." And I can remember officiating sports back when I smoked, and the other guy said, "Hey, let's go in my car because I don't want any smoking. Don't want to." And I sort of made fun of him a little bit. And he had all the rights in the world, and I wanted to have smoke blown in his face. Those were back in the old days when I was young and foolish. Still am a little foolish.
How long did you officiate?
25 years. Went by saw Terry Jenright yesterday, and we had a long talk about the great one. You know who the great one was?
Scotty?
Scotty Sowers. Scotty Sowers, Terry Jenright said to me, he changed his life on how you treat people. What is the word? Treat them with sugar instead of...
You get more sugar. You get...
What is that?
You get more... You attract more bees with sugar. In other words, you attract...
Yeah, then you...
It's better to spread sugar because you attract people with sugar,
exactly.
something like that.
But,
You're not supposed to be going around seeing people. I'm hearing you tell story after story about seeing people. You're supposed to be going...
No, I bet you I was 15 yards away from Kay and Terry, and I was just riding around yesterday, just looking at some stuff, and had a very good visit with him. But, Scotty not only was, everybody would say he's a clown. Well, if you want to call him a clown, you can, but I'll tell you one thing. He led me to Christ Jesus. He was one of the ones that was so instrumental in bringing so many people to Christ Jesus. Let me tell you, I worked for him at the city recreation department, going to college. Back when I was going to college, I didn't have a care in the world. But before we started work every day, on the loudspeaker, all over at Murphy Park, we had prayer. And what I'm saying, he put Christ first, and that's why we all
I can remember as a little kid, he'd throw out bubble gum at basketball games.
Oh yeah, candy and bubble gum. But let me tell you this, and he acted like a clown, but it was nobody that's ever been through this part of the country that could officiate basketball better than he can.
Well,
he was an excellent official.
The Hudson fella that we just lost.
Yeah, I love him.
That's a
good
big
guy.
What's his first name? John.
John Hudson.
He grew up in Elba. He did a lot of football and softball.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be missed.
You know something about him too?
He was the Lord's.
Yeah, no question about it.
Yeah,
We all. Let me tell you this: if you don't like me talking about Christ Jesus, change the channel, please. If you don't like me talking about my Savior Jesus Christ, turn the channel, please.
Well, you reflect of the 3 funeral homes that we have, or the 4 or 5 funeral homes that we have in this area. That's a service that special people are called to do, because the most hurtful time in somebody's life is when they have to deal with death.
Yeah.
But we have some wonderful caretakers who are with families in that time of need.
Yeah.
Dillard, Green Hills with Mr. Pinkard, Grubbs, and the others. Turner Funeral Home, Luverne.
Yeah.
I mean, those are special
Remember when
people.
that family burned to death?
Mr. Hudson was in that business too.
Yeah.
Brother Jackson down there in Goshen, he's with the funeral home. Mr. Dillard and Mr. Benny Pinkard and all those guys, and the Grubbs family.
Of course.
But you were talking about Scotty.
Let me just say this.
With John
while
Hudson.
I got it on my mind, of course, my mother was a saint. I said that. Of course, she always put Christ first in her life, and she tithed and put money aside that it went to the Lord. We knew that growing up and whatever. But it means a lot to me now to see men growing up and following Christ, you know, and doing it. What I'm saying is not only talking the talk, but walking the walk. You know, there's a lot of talking the talk, and then there's a lot of walking the walk.
When you said that, I was thinking Whitey Whitman, because he was a walker and a talker.
Yeah.
And he was a man of action. I mean, you could just follow his.
No question about it.
He touched me.
Of course, our show is brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. And I was by there yesterday. They're selling cars at record pace. I mean, hey, let me tell you this: they haven't. Let me tell you, business is getting to be pretty good. You ask people that are open. Ask my buddy over at Hooks Barbecue if he's doing any business. Hey, I bet 100 cars go through there a day at least. And you know what? I don't know. He might tell him, he said, we're going to do away with our walk-in. I'm just being facetious.
I think we got a special birthday down there around Goshen, Little Oak area today.
Who
you
is
ever heard of Pugh Keith Snyder?
Oh, how?
Pugh Keith Snyder. His wife is Miss Linda.
Yeah.
He's got a super brother in the name of Larry.
Exactly.
Keith's got 4 great youngins. He's got.
And y'all go to church in those woods, right? In those woods.
We go to church at Goshen, Little Oak, and Henderson. We're a 3-church charge. And Keith Snyder is a great singer.
Is he?
He can sing.
All right, now one of those churches is in the woods there
Little
off the
Oak.
Goshen Road.
Little Oak. That's his home church.
Yeah.
And I think his mother's name was Jaretha.
Are they allowing those folks inside yet?
No, we haven't had service yet. Our preacher does it by telecast or Facebook or whatever. But Keith and Linda, they have their oldest son is Brian, who lives in Auburn. Then Bart's the head football coach at Goshen.
All right, you know, there's the Snyder family, the Sanders family is a huge Goshen family. The
Johnsons, McLeods.
McLeods, a lot of McLeods.
You got the Farmers,
Strouds.
You
know, talking about McLeods, he was a good official. Do you know what I'm talking about? He used to work
Curtis?
with Curtis.
Curtis
McLeod was a good
big
official.
tall Curtis.
Yeah.
Curtis
Well, he's not real tall now.
Well, Curtis's daddy, Joe Calvin.
Yeah.
And my granddaddy Lewis were double first cousins.
Okay.
So I'm kin to Curtis.
And of course,
around
we're looking at all these great Goshen families, and you know, some of them were real big families, and one of them makes pretty good camp stew.
Sanders, Carter,
Carter, and so forth. And of course,
there's some Strouds down there.
The Strouds and the Normans, and of course, proud. What I like about Goshen, they're proud people. And
some Copes, some Shermans, some Glasgows,
exactly right.
some Derridges.
In Goshen gonna be 3A now?
Yes.
And it's growing. Well, you know
Pike
what?
County.
I tell you something that I've noticed about him. Every time I go down there, he's got 40 to 50 dressed, and for that classification, you don't see that many of them. Let's take a look at a lot of people want to know what's going on with the coronavirus cases.
All you gotta remember is Corona. You drink a lot of Corona beer and a Corona Light.
Wait a minute. Who told? I don't know if I've ever had a Corona beer. They have one out called Premier. I want to mention United States.
My favorite beer choice is Horn Beverage and Booty Brews.
If it don't say Booty Brews when it comes to cold beverage, you don't want it. He's a great guy.
Bud Light Lime took Corona's place for me about 10 years ago.
Well, I tell you what, Donna and the whole group have done so many things for our community, and we appreciate them so much. Looking at the United States, there are 1,292 cases of the virus. So far, as of May the 8th, which is today, there's been 76,942 deaths. So they're heading toward that 100,000 mark. The recovered, these are people that have recovered from the virus, 217,251. Now let's look at Pike County, Alabama. ladies and gentlemen, there has been 85 known cases of the virus in Pike County, Alabama. Thank goodness, no deaths to report. There's been, now I don't know what this figure is here. It's 788, and this is well,
statewide is probably the number of tests.
Yeah, okay, they've been tested, and 1,188 statewide that have actually have the virus and have been checked.
Statewide, there were 8,000.
All right, well, I don't know what that figure was. 1,188 statewide was, this was the data that we got from the state of Alabama Health Department. But now...
Actually, Alabama will go over, although it actually has gone over 9,000 total cases.
Yeah, over 9,000 total cases in Alabama. And then
you
three...
Look around at West Virginia. West Virginia only has 1,297 cases.
Yeah, death mark in Alabama, 369 people have died from the virus in the state of Alabama. So that's your figures. Again, we've been at 85 for the last couple of days. That's good. But let me tell you this: if you're having any of those symptoms out there, first of all, one of it is high fever of over 102, or if you've got shortness of breath, which is two of the main things that you've got to look at. But there's some other things that you need to be aware of. But if you have those high temperatures or you have those shortness of breath, call your doctor today and see if and get information on what you should do, whether to come in and see him or go to the emergency room. But I would think if you've got the high fever or the shortness of breath, they're going to want you to come in to the emergency room. Call this number right here now. Be responsible now. Hey, don't say, well, I'll call them tomorrow. There goes my pen, and then we're going to have to drop off. No. But the number is 670-5409. 670-5409. They can give you the information you need. Go ahead and get it. It's fine. Dropped a pin, and they're very important on this show.
I have about 100 pins in a bowl. What happened to them? Neil and Wally stealing your stuff?
Neil and Wally gets them every time. No. But watch Neil and Wally. They've got a great show, man. I tell you, they're funny. They're on Sunday nights, and they do a great job. They got their start right here on our channel, and
the new star on Troy Cable is Hoss Daddy. I mean,
Hoss Daddy.
Yeah, if they don't say Hoss Daddy, you don't want it. I'm telling you. And of course, we appreciate Sanders Truck Lines, and especially you people that work for Sanders Truck Lines. They haven't missed a beat, Mike. They have continued to work. They have to continue to have drivers, thousands of them, on the roads of the United States, all the way across from Los Angeles to New York City. There's Wiley Sanders trucks everywhere, and of course we appreciate so much having these trucks and other truck lines on the road, carrying food and health care needs to people around the country, and we do appreciate them so much. Mike, out of all of the heroes that are coming out, if there is any, of course, the most notable people that seems to be making a name for themselves, of course, the first would be the mayor of New York. He's made a name for himself. Name me some more.
I mean, right now, everybody, talks about Fauci, the doctor. I never knew who he was before all this started.
Yeah. And then
for himself, Andrew Cuomo. Some people think he's done a great job, and then a lot of people think that he didn't take it seriously until too late, and then New York got hit worse than anybody in the world. So
yeah,
it's just kind of how you look at it, I guess. You got, you watch CNN, you hear one, kind of, the way that they are, look at things, and their, kind of their perspective of.
Yeah. it's getting almost old. It's getting where I used to look.
And then you watch Fox News, and you watch somebody like Hannity, and he's ripping the other side. So, I mean, the sad thing about all this to me is that there's presidential campaign coming up. I wish that of course it's a horrible situation we're in to have this going on. Period.
Well, guess what?
I definitely wish it wasn't an election year where now the country is divided. Probably worse than I've ever seen.
Well, let me just say this. You've just opened up a can of worms. Let me tell you, can you believe this, that during all of this, when it first came out, this virus first came out, they were impeaching our president. All of that, all they had on their mind was being impeached, and this virus is coming in and spreading like wildfire, and they're putting the impeachment situation above a worldwide disaster, and that's exactly what it is, a worldwide disaster.
Well, I mean, when it's all said and done, I mean, you hear different stories about, when a vaccine's going to come out, and, when these antibody testing is going to help out, and, there's a way to slow it down now through certain medicines, and you keep on hearing all these positive things, but then I look at the world meter, the coronavirus that I've been tracking ever since it started, and like yesterday, I mean, it's still like 28,000 cases, 2,000 deaths. I mean, it's like that every day.
I know. How many? Do you know how many we had yesterday? Do you know how many deaths yesterday? Do you have an idea?
The last time I looked, it was over 1,700. So
1,700 yesterday, and then earlier, I want to say Monday or Tuesday, it was 2,400 deaths that day.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, you're trying to figure out now. Like, I mean, because you look at like places like Italy and Spain who got hit extremely hard, and like their numbers every day are like 400 cases.
Yeah, they evidently the testing. Let me tell you this: I still think we need to do worldwide testing to find out more information of what's going on.
Sorry, not 400 cases, but more like 4,000 cases.
Yeah, 4,000 cases.
Get down to.
I guarantee you, if you went through Troy, Alabama right now and started doing total wide testing, you would have 3 or 4 times more people that have the virus.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people who have had this virus already. I mean, it's come out now. Different things I've read, different articles. Like, they're almost like positive after doing these antibody testing that this started before the New Year.
Yeah.
In the United States.
Well,
my wife the other day, I was like, my goodness, we were in Vegas in February.
Oh yeah.
3 nights. I was like, in all these different casinos throughout the Strip. I mean, we probably went to 10 casinos.
Yeah, and
I can imagine how that place spread through casinos.
Well, and think about Mardi Gras and Mobile and New Orleans. Think about that. All those thousands and thousands of people coming into those towns and then leaving and spreading out across the world. Mardi Gras is a worldwide. Mardi Gras is a worldwide event in New Orleans.
Well, the deaths, it should be, they're a factor. They're not the only factor that those people have died. I wouldn't think. It's other factors in addition to this.
Yeah, a majority of, like, I'd say 95% had existing health conditions.
Yeah.
So it's
no question about it.
a factor,
and I think that we're doing as much as we can. I really believe, though, and you've heard it so many times, the people getting fights over when and where to wear this mask. Well, I'll just tell you this right now. You're being stupid. Excuse my language. That's a terrible word. But if you don't wear this in a crowded area, you're doing the wrong thing because if I'm talking, I guarantee you I'm distributing some liquid through my voice.
You gotta look back a month ago. The mask wasn't even something they made. 100% that you had to wear. Like, I mean, that didn't even come out till. I mean, I think it probably was like around a month ago that they said, now you need to start wearing your mask.
Well, they say
if anybody makes fun of you wearing a mask, tell them to take a look at how many people died yesterday of this virus,
And they say...
The thing is, I mean, you got a lot of people that wear them down here when you're out and about, and then there's, I'd say it's probably 60% don't wear masks and 40% do wear masks down here.
I tell you, a good judge, watch the post office now. you know there's a lot of people going in and out of the post office every day. And hey, if you don't wear gloves and if you don't wear a mask, you've got a chance of transmitting this virus.
They say it's more to protect me than it is him by you wearing a mask.
One of my best friends, he and I were talking, and he was on the outside of my truck with the window down, and I was on the other side. And I stood there and probably I didn't have a face mask on, and I was being foolish. And I told him, I said, man, we're taking a chance.
The president's, one of the valets for the president has tested positive.
Yeah.
I read that this morning in the newspaper, but, you know, they test the president, the vice president, all those people
and
all
listen
the
to
time,
this,
and they're
what
negative.
gets me. And then listen, you talk about ball. Ben Beard probably sitting back, hopefully watching our show this morning, he and Joan, two of my favorite people. And they say, when Mike Amos says something against ball, or you better watch out, because nobody loves it any more than I do. And 9, headlines here on the sports page, 9 Atlantic Coast Conference schools to open in the fall. Football in the fall already for the Atlantic Coast Conference.
I think Duke has not made a decision, Wake Forest and Pittsburgh.
Exactly, and
those three haven't.
They've already said though that they'll play without those other schools.
Yeah.
And Greg Byrne has come out today on AL.com and said that they have to know something as far as a definite by July, is what he said. You know, he's the University of Alabama's athletic director.
Yeah.
So,
Mike, you were talking.
One of those situations, Oregon came out yesterday and said that they'll have no fans through September at any of their sporting events.
I can understand that. I mean, I want it to happen, but I want people to be safe and understand the circumstances here. Could you see?
You'll have some games where I think you'll see fans, and you'll have some games that that some campuses will not allow fans.
So the Bama USC game, I don't think will take place because I don't think California will be ready to open up. Do you?
Well, that game's going to be played at Jerry World
in Texas. Do you think USC will be there?
You're playing indoors.
Yeah, and think of all those California folks coming over to Jerry World and spreading the virus and whatever. And you know what? Like I said the other day, you know how hard it is to go through a airport. It ought to be that hard to go through a football game.
Temperatures.
I mean, they ought to be able to walk up, get either have a buzzer goes off or not goes off. If it doesn't go off, you can come on in. If it does go off, get on out of here. You shouldn't have come to the game anyway. But a lot of times they say, well, I didn't know, you know. How many times would they say, I didn't know, you know?
I can't get over these temperatures for May. This is one of the colder Mays I remember right now.
It's not going to be above 80, I think, till next Wednesday or Thursday.
If they don't have
Well, I mean, at least we're going to have some football. The NFL is definitely going to play.
Yeah.
These guys don't get paid if they don't play.
Mike, you were talking earlier about the region Goshen's going in. I want to flip the channel just for a second, but Goshen will be with Beulah, Dadeville, Goshen High School, Montgomery Catholic, Pike County High, Reeltown, and St. James.
Oh, boy.
Is their region. That's a lot of traveling above 65.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to show it on here, but it was brought up yesterday that Charles Henderson High School will play the Brantley Bulldogs.
Brantley? Well, if they play Brantley, why don't they play Goshen?
Well, you're right. You're right. And
it's cool with Brantley. At least when you play Goshen, you're playing 3, eh?
Yeah. Charles Henderson is with Andalusia, Carroll, Charles Henderson High School, Greenville High, Headland High School, Pike Road, and Rehoboth. And I'll make a prediction. Headland has hired 2 good new coaches, Toby Green, who was at Florella, but Sammy Jackson is going to be the new basketball coach at Headland. He's coached at Butler High School. He's coached at Auburn University, Tennessee State, Georgia Southern. He was the head coach at Savannah State, Alabama A&M. But they're opening. They've got a brand new arena going up. But
I'll tell you one thing before we go on break.
My new favorite coach is cold-blooded at Park Crossing.
You're right, buddy. You're right. Well, let me just say this, what I was trying to get out of my mouth just a while ago. Let me tell you this. If there's not a shot available, I say don't start. If there's not a shot available for the fans, don't start football.
Yeah, but you need to just stay at home and don't worry about it. Let people, that are adults make their own decisions.
Well, that's exactly what I'll do. I'm sure. Now, I want to be at a Troy game now. Don't get me wrong, but I think we need to have some kind of shot available that'll give us confidence that we can fight this virus.
A vaccine changes all this. We've already said that, but if people want to go to games and they're young and they're healthy and they feel like, if they're going to let them go, let them go.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a short break.
Go and not go.
We're going to take a short break. Forrest Lee's with us. Mike Amos is with us from the Northwest Florida. We're going to talk more about the big fire as we get back.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Have you seen an increase in your insurance premiums or significant change in your insurance coverage? Let Sandbeck Insurance offer you a better plan to suit your business or personal needs. Sandbeck Insurance offers many lines of insurance, whether it's home, farm, or auto insurance, work comp, business, or health and life policies. Sandbeck is here for you. Call or visit our Troy, Enterprise, or Andalusia office today. Sandbeck Insurance, where we take pride in taking care of your insurance needs.
What's the good word? Quack, quack. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a duck in our studio, and he just shows out. The only good thing about him, he brings you coffee when you need it. And if it don't say Hill and Brooks coffee, believe you me, you don't want it. You know, these new coffee machines, you don't drink a lot of coffee, do you?
We don't. Jody started kicking.
That's right. But let me tell you, everybody's wondering, Forrest, all these teachers and a lot of these students are saying, golly, old Forrest looks real cute with his new hairdo. How'd you call that hairdo? It looks like you, man.
I used to comb it straight back.
Yeah.
And I decided to do it.
But you had to cut it, though, didn't you?
Well, I had a black market haircut, and I'm not going to tell you.
I know. I was wondering who did it. But everybody likes it, though. It looks good. You know what those guys out there are saying? It's a butch cut.
Well,
you ever heard of a butch?
I have. I like it actually shorter than this, but anyway.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're excited about football and that the possibilities are there. Let me tell you something else I've seen lately, and you can answer this one, Forrest. Of course, Forrest works out at the Pike County Lake, and we're going to talk about that in just a few moments. We only have it's 8:09, but what I was going to talk to you about, Forrest, is these kids playing baseball, rec baseball. I've seen a lot more kids at the ballpark lately. Do you think they're going to bring rec baseball back?
I have not read a report on that.
When they get the signal, you know?
If they do, it'll be a very modified season because they'd be
but you know
well
what?
into their season.
But you know, you think about it. Back when I grew up,
the Little League World Series has been canceled.
They've already dropped it, haven't they?
Okay.
Now, back when I was growing up, we didn't even start baseball until June, till June. School was out, and then we went to June and July, and then parts of August if you made the tournament team, or if your tournament team did well. But now they start as early as March, late March, or early April. But I could see, these kids, and if the fans would stay apart, would stay 6 feet apart, then they could do it.
Well, the kids would be in a confined dugout.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe.
Again, when do you start living again?
Yeah.
But you got to.
Well, I mean, my kids are finishing their first week back in school this week.
Sure.
So,
They're back in school.
Just think how they feel is, Mommy and Daddy take us to school, and then they go home and go back to sleep.
Maybe go back home and go to the beach.
Don't you know there's a lot of grown-ups thankful for those schools opening up so that they can go to the beach because they can't go back to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, that concerns me.
I have not heard about that yet. I think they're just waiting to make that decision. And
Dan Smith, we'll bring Dan up as soon as possible. But I could see if they could spread the thing out a little bit, the kids out a little bit. I could see it working, especially with the smaller kids.
Right. I just don't know what that decision's been made just yet.
But then the parents would have to back off too. It's a lot of that word, and I mentioned it yesterday. Logistics.
Yeah.
Logistics.
Yeah, Tiger Woods and Manning and Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady are going to have a charity.
Now who is Brady going to play for?
It's going to be Brady.
Mickelson and
Somebody told me Brady can hit it with the best of them, what I've heard.
Yeah. They're going to have a charity golf tournament the May 24th. I think they're donating a total of $10 million.
Each?
I don't know about each. I think
it's going to be on TNT, so everybody will be able to watch it. It's not on pay-per-view like last time.
It's going to be the Medalist at the Medalist Golf Club in Hobie Sound, Florida. The first 9 holes, I think they're playing 4-ball, best ball, and then that's the front 9, and on the back 9, they're going to play a modified alternating shots with some on the back 9, and they're going to have some other competitive stuff to see who wins certain things, and it'll be fun to watch, I bet you, with those 4.
We're moving our papers around, and hey, we want you to feel like that we're sitting right next to you in your den. We're having a hot cup of coffee. You've got eggs over light, scrambled eggs, and bacon and toast and good old strawberry jam. Man, I know you sit back, and you folks that just learned for the first time that you take that hubcap biscuit and you stick a hole in it with that finger and then pour that syrup in there, you got a treat.
Right.
Or put honey in there. I love honey.
I'm looking forward to Bird's Drugs opening up. Hey, in the morning, Mike, a local thing of interest.
Yeah.
The old Beulah Cemetery on 39th Street.
Sure.
In the morning, they're having a cleanup. They want a lot of volunteers to come in because they've had some trees and big limbs to come down in the cemetery.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And anybody that can show up around 8 o'clock with your chainsaws, your rakes.
One of my very good friends, or 2 of them, is Herbie Davis and Virginia. His sister are real big behind all that, and I love old Herbie, lifelong friend.
We have the same birthday, September the 19th. Yeah,
he's a great guy.
I wanted to mention that about Beulah Cemetery in the morning around 8 o'clock.
Mike, we were mentioning the other day about the Say Hey kid, who everybody knows is Willie Mays, one of the greatest players, probably one of the top 5 players in the history of baseball. That's saying a lot, but I look at these superstars today, or non-superstars. I mean, guys that could not even put on the same pair of pants with the greats like Ted Williams and Stan Musial and Mickey Mantle and all those. These guys are getting all this giant money. I mean, just unbelievable money.
I think he had about 660 home runs. Didn't he spend
right.
2 or 3 years of his prime in the service?
No, not.
Was it Willie Mays?
No, Willie Mays did not. Ted Williams did. Ted Williams was a bomber pilot.
Okay, I know Ted did.
You know, Ted Williams was, a lot of people say, was one of the greatest players to ever play. They call him the Splendid Splinter. He was a
400.
what? He was the last man to bat 400, and of course, like you said, I think he missed 4 years of baseball because he was a fighter pilot or bomber pilot in the Air Force. Look up Ted Williams. Of course, the Say Hey Kid was number 32. I didn't like Willie Mays that much, and I'm going to tell you why. Because he was I was a Mickey Mantle fan. You know what I'm saying? You know, Mickey Mantle was my sort of childhood idol, and Mays was one everybody said was better than Mantle. You know, and he was a great player. One of the great players of all time. I wish some of you gurus out there, you know, this guy that does the play-by-play for Troy, this guy that talks to you in the morning, I would love to go head-to-head with him on middle 60s or 60s baseball over the years. But when, as far as trivia stuff, but Willie Mays did something unreal, made a catch unreal. It was in the polo grounds for the New York Giants. He was playing for the New York Giants, which later on moved to be the San Francisco Giants. And he caught the ball like this on a dead run, just looking at it over his head on a dead run. Do you know who hit that ball?
No, I don't.
Big Wirtz. Big Wirtz hit that ball in the polo grounds. The Indians playing the Giants. And that was in the World Series. And Cincinnati won the World Series. The starting lineups for that team, Whitey Lockman was the first baseman for the Giants. The shortstop was Alvin Dark. The left fielder was Al Smith. The catcher was Wes Westrom. The center fielder was Willie Mays. The right fielder was, Don Mueller, I want to say. And I'm trying to think of the second baseman. I'm having a little trouble. But the pitcher was a left-handed pitcher named Johnny Antonelli, who was a great pitcher. Then, of course, you had another great pitcher on that team. Big Jim Hearn was another pitcher on that team.
So out of all the sports that are played today, like, I mean, do you think 60s, you know, some of those players like Mantle and Hank Aaron,
all of them could play.
They would be great players today?
They would. No question about it.
I mean, every guy out there that comes in out of a bullpen throws 95 to 100 balls.
Yeah, you're right. Now, I'll tell you right now.
The physical conditioning is better than it's ever been. But but that's the only sport that I think that back in the day, I still think if you're a great baseball player in the 50s, 60s, 70s, you would have been a great baseball player even today.
Well, they didn't work out weights and everything.
I wouldn't say that ever, like in basketball or
yeah, you're right. You're right. The basketball, they can jump so much higher and all that. But you're exactly right of those baseball players. Let me tell you right now, there's not a batter in the major leagues today that could walk up and hit a fastball thrown by Sandy Koufax, or a fastball thrown by Warren Spahn, or a fastball thrown by Bob Fella, or a fastball thrown by Bob Gibson. There's not a player in this baseball right now that could consistently hit off those guys. Those were great pitchers.
A great guy to interview would be Pete Rose, because he played for so many years and so many different decades. You know, he could tell you the difference, and he probably started in the 60s, I'd say.
You know, we watched him for hours down in spring training one time, hit, and everything was line drive. Right over the second baseman's head, too. You know, I always said this, that the ball doesn't have eyes on it. Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying, or what I say, the ball doesn't have eyes on it, whatever. And, you know, hitting that off-speed pitch, something you didn't see as much back then was the changeup. The changeup has changed baseball. Well, you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. You've got your fastball, you got your slider, which is a moving fastball, really. You got your curveball, and you got your fastball. Back then, you had your fastball and you had your curveball. You never heard anybody ever say a thing about a slider or a changeup. But the changeup keeps people off balance. Now, people say, well, Mike, you think you know everything. Well, I know a little bit. I'll tell you that. But the guys that finally caught up with the changeup was George Brett, Don Mattingly. You remember those guys?
I do.
All right. What they did, they sat back here like a rattlesnake. They sat back. Yeah. What now?
Tony Gwynn was great.
Yeah, Tony Gwynn was the same way. This is the Charlie Lau theory of hitting, and they get back on that back foot. You know, the other people were doing this and doing that. Well, with a changeup, just sit back like that rattlesnake is, and when that changeup comes in or the fastball, you're back here ready to explode into the ball. Those guys were all great hitters.
Rod Carew was a good one.
Rod Carew batted on his back foot. But again, the changeup has changed a lot, and I'm sure that that Koufax and Warren Spahn and
who we talked to in spring training more than anybody is by the fence. We talked to Wade Boggs, who a lot of people consider one of the greatest hitters.
And then we talked to the great singers. Daddy was. We talked to him a long time. Tug McGraw's dad was Tug McGraw was a good pitcher on that team. But you know, Robin Roberts was a great one back in those old days. You know, pitching. Of course, Whitey Ford was left-hander, and you know
Spain and what was Spawn in Spain and Pray for Rain or something like that.
That team with Milwaukee Braves had Warren Spahn, Lou Burdette, Bart Lou Burdette, let's see, and then Bob Buell, and they had Mossy and Narlusky were your relief pitchers.
Didn't Chase Riddle sign Steve Carlson?
Yes, he signed it. He was a Hall of Famer, and he was another one that would be hard to hit today. You know, those guys. You know, it's easy to say that.
Did Don Sutton throw hard, or he just throw junk?
He threw hard. He threw hard. Don Sutton was another Hall of Famer that was raised out here or lived at one time at Clio, but he grew up in Pensacola. At that baseball school. What's the name of it? The baseball. What?
He played at Tate.
Tate, exactly. This guy knows it. He played at Tate High School.
What's the other town around there? Cantonment or whatever?
Yeah. Let me tell you this. Don Sutton and went on and played junior college ball at Gulf Coast. And he played alongside of another pitcher who later on was an All-American at Auburn, and later on coached, what? QV Lowe. All right, they both played at Gulf Coast Junior College.
Sprague.
That's right.
Volleyball.
They both played at Gulf Coast, and one of them left and went to Auburn and made All-American. Well, made All-American at Auburn, and then of course Sutton went on to the major league.
Did Charlie Clark go down there too, or Coach Clark? Where was he at? The guy was at Crenshaw, then he was at Eufaula. Charles Clark.
Charles Clark. No, he was a basketball player. He wasn't a baseball player. He went to the junior college though.
Okay.
There was such a great junior. What's that great junior college baseball program in Mariana, Mike? Chipola. Okay. Whoa. Chipola might have the best baseball program in the nation at any level. They're that good. You look at those stats of how many players come from different colleges in the pros. Chipola leads them all every year.
Wow.
I don't know how they do it.
That's why Bobby Pierce won so many games, because he was at Chipola.
Oh, yeah.
Before he went to Alabama Huntsville, and then after Alabama Huntsville, he came to Troy.
That's right.
Hey, Mike, when he was a high school coach, they had a bunch of old uniforms, and the last one left was number 25. Well, the rest of his career, he wore 25, 25, 25. When he came to Troy, he said, Coach, you can't wear 25 because Coach Riddle wore 25. So he flipped it to 52, is what he told me.
Mike, we want to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us, if you will.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Yeah. Back to our show brought to you by Health Actions, and you need rehab. And I took off on a long walk the other day and overdid it. And ladies and gentlemen, don't start on any walk or anything like that unless you've stretched your muscles a little bit, because I was having trouble with my left leg. Now I've got trouble with my right leg. I can't hardly walk because I thought I could walk a long distance. So don't go out and try to do something you can't do. Or overdo it. And my wife said, I told you. That's enough right there to not do it again.
You know what that means? That means you need to always walk with your cell phone with you.
Yeah,
but I appreciate all of these good places to eat, and that you just drive up, and we're getting. I told this, we're getting another Mexican restaurant, and it's backs up to another Mexican restaurant.
That's 3 right there.
That's right.
There's Valencia's on the other side of Rodeo.
Mm-hmm. See, I've never eaten at Valencia's.
Right there by Domino's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
the Valencia family.
People love Mexican food. I can eat Mexican food, but I'm not near as crazy about Mexican food as some people are.
I'm not either. I'd rather have a.
What about the shopping center in Troy? Did that ever open, or the TJ Maxx?
Well, all right. Let me tell you that they're under control. They're under construction now. Let me tell you something. I thought they'd be different layers of places where they're building. There's going to be one layer, and they're going to move a bunch of dirt. No telling what the expense of getting this shopping center going. And it is really unreal how many big-time equipment is out there,
Right, that's big-time
I mean,
stuff.
this is a big-time operation, and it's going to really enhance Troy's look.
It will.
It really
Just look
is.
what the university, Troy University, when they moved all that dirt to put in those practice fields and fix the golf course and that drive-through.
I'm going to tell you something that a lot of people have not noticed, that Marriott, at least last time I was by there, was closed doing during this crisis. Now the other hotel is open, but the Marriott, and they might be doing some renovation or whatever. It'd be a great time to do it. A lot of people are doing that right now, renovation, since they can't go.
Yeah,
Raymond is still not open for haircuts. And
they're remodeling.
Yeah, he's remodeling. And I wonder what he's going to do with those white deer. I laugh.
Sun-bleached
I
deer.
give him a hard time about it. Sun-bleached deer heads at Raymond's. But what a wonderful guy Raymond is. Ladies and gentlemen, we love on this show to talk about old trivial things. And, we started off with something that I don't know if I wrote it down or not. But some of these little one-liners that you hear, where they came from and whatever. Forrest Lee has been super to be on our show, and it's better than laying in bed sleeping, isn't it?
I can't sleep late. But I want to wish all the mothers out there happy Mother's Day,
too.
especially those in heaven, Mother Bonnie and my wife Jody. Happy Mother's Day, and
we all love our mothers, and I miss mine, and what I wish I could hug her right now, And but you know what? I know where my mama is, and she's in heaven with our Christ Jesus. And let me just say this: trust in the Lord, and everything will be all right. Trust in God, and everything will be all right. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow, bright and early, or Monday morning, bright and early, for the Today in L.A.
That was